What do you think? What do you think is the biggest problem we're dealing with right now in the world?
Oh, thank you. This is what I've been spending the last 20 years of answering. It turns out the question is wrong. So the short answer here is the biggest problem in the world is that we all die, but we don't have a good technology to avoid it. So it doesn't make sense to rank the worst problems.
Okay.
It only makes sense to rank what are the best solutions. So you can't really say what are big problems because it depends on whether we have anything to do about it. And it turns out that there are some really, really good solutions to the world's big problems. So you mentioned poverty. Mm-hmm. We know how to get people out of poverty by getting more trade, for instance. That is opening up our trade. Do you remember 20 years ago, everybody was very in favor of free trade? Then we started realizing, oh, wait, there's actually problems with free trade as well, the Rust Belt and that kind of thing. And that's absolutely true. But we still have not, we've kind of lost sight on the fact that trade still helps many more than it inconveniences. So, for rich countries, for every dollar that it costs for people like in the Rust Belt, it generates benefits for the U.S. of about $7. So yes, we need to compensate them. We need to have that conversation. But for poor countries, free trade generates $1 problem for every time it generates $95 of net benefits. That's incredible. This is, that's why, of course, China got so much richer. That's why China has lifted out most of its population now from poverty. This is because of the power of free trade. So that's one of the many solutions. Do you mind if I give you a few more?
Go for it. I'm listening.
Good. So we're actually I'm coming out with a book this month on what are the 12 smartest things to do. So this was one of the smart things to do. Education is obviously a big issue. So education sucks most places in the world. It certainly is terrible for most of the poor people in the world. They go to school. We've managed to do that, and everybody is in school, but they have really, really poor education, so they learn almost nothing. And one of the reasons is that there is such a big difference between the best student in the class and the worst student in the class. If you imagine you put all the 12-year-olds together in one grade, obviously, some of these kids know everything the teacher is saying and more, and some of them have no clue what's going on. So the solution to that is to get more individualized learning, what they call learning at the student's own level. One way of doing this is getting kids in front of a tablet 1 hour a day. If you do this, the tablet will have software in the local language that actually teaches this student. And so the software very quickly figures out, oh, the student is really smart, so I can rush ahead, or the student has no clue what's going on, so I'll back up and start doing this. If you do this, it'll cost about $30 per kid per year. Now, they're not going to get the tablet. They'll share many of them. And, these poor countries, you'll also need to have solar panels to recharge them at night. And you need a locker to store them at night so they don't get stolen, that kind of stuff. We've calculated all of that. And this is done on many, many studies, right? It'll cost about $30 per student per year. But it means that each of these kids over a year will learn what they normally would have learned in 3 years in school. They'll simply learn 3 times as much. Now, remember, it's still a pretty crappy school, so it's just less crappy now. But it means that they will become much more productive when they become adults, and they will produce much more. It actually turns out that this benefit delivers about $65 of benefit for every dollar it costs. So again, if we do these kinds of things, we could actually make the poorer part of the world about $600 billion richer every year, by an investment of about $10 billion.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.